What can you get for £100 worth of golf clubs at this place? Let's find out. Guys, how you doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. It's Simon down here at my local retail park. I'm about to go to Sports Direct and basically spend £100 there, exactly, or as close as I can, on individual clubs that they have to make up basically a full set of golf clubs that you can then go and play on the golf course, which I'm going to then do some testing. And then if you know anyone that wants this set of golf clubs afterwards, i.e. your son or nephew or someone that just wants to get into the game but hasn't got a clubs yet, then I will give these away after I've done my testing, which will probably be the end of this week. So if you're new to the channel, leave this video a like, subscribe if you are new, and well, I don't know how much filming I'm going to be able to do in there, but let's go and see what they've got. Let's see what I can get for £100. Okay guys, we've spent £100, 92 pence, so we're 92p over budget, but I do feel like I've got a full bag. I've got driver, rescue, 6-iron to sand wedge and a putter, and you can see everything's conveniently 50% off, so it's about £12 a club. Driver was the most expensive purchase of the day, of about £17, and then every other club was about £12. There's the proof from the receipt, but what I'm going to do is obviously whack them in the bag, go down to the range when it's dark, go and hit them, give you my thoughts over these beautiful golf clubs. So guys, you join me down here 4 hours later, just about to get dark, at Hennick driving range. Great little driving range in the winter around the Newbury area, if you want to obviously do a bit of practice when it's dark and cold. First of all, 8 clubs, £100. The test tonight is, are they any good? Do they sound good, feel good? Because they are basically £10 a club, slightly more expensive than that. So is that a complete waste of money, or is there actually some value in buying these clubs? Now, I'm pretty sure whatever department store of some description like Sports Direct will have something very similar like this on their store floor, where it's going to be around about £10–15 a club. And potentially the great thing I liked about this is I could choose which clubs I wanted, so you could just go and get a 7-iron just to go and practice and play with. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as it's got a grip and a head on the end of it, it's going to serve a purpose for you to at least learn how to hit a golf ball to start off with. But I'm going to test, hit all of them, as I say, sound and feel. I'm not putting my hopes up massive, and obviously I'm going to do a thorough test over the week in the simulator to get some numbers, compare it against obviously very expensive models of these, but they're just forgiving beginner clubs. That's all they're ever going to be. But yeah, let's put them to the test and I'll give you my thoughts on them. What better place is there to review some golf clubs than at a driving range in the evening? So obviously I didn't test the putter, but I got 8 clubs all in all, with £100 budget. Now what I should say is that irons I was thoroughly impressed with, and to be perfectly honest, it makes a lot of sense, guys. Like, it's a lump of metal on the end of a steel stick, therefore as long as it's built correctly and the head is glued on nicely, you can't really go wrong. And in terms of sound and feel, I think that's the one biggest thing when we talk about cheap clubs. How do they feel? How do they sound? And then how do they wear over time? And as we get onto the woods, you'll quite clearly see the value didn't necessarily help. But with the irons, yes, they're chunky, yes, they look very offset, and yes, they launch the ball extremely high, but that's what they're designed to do. And for a beginner golfer, just to go and buy 1-2 clubs just to test the water with, I was actually really impressed with all the irons. I hit them all in the row, and I felt quite comfortable hitting them as well, to be perfectly honest. I'm not going to lie. Now the woods were a slightly different matter. First of all, they both have steel shafts. Now there was an option to get graphite shafts in them as well, but they were slightly more expensive, an enormous amount of £5 each. Therefore I couldn't stretch that within my budget. But the steel shafts I just wanted to test and feel. Now they did feel heavy, and that's obviously not a shock, seeing as steel is obviously a lot heavier than graphite, but they just felt heavy and clunky overall. The rescue I really struggled with. For some reason I ended up like hitting everything relatively like heavy, but I didn't feel like I was hitting it heavy. It just kept sliding underneath the club. Now I'm showing you the wear marks on the top of the face there. You can see where basically, even with the clean range ball, so this isn't even testing out on the golf course, it's starting to scratch up the face. And the paint on the top started to come off quite easily as well, even though I was hitting them off the mat. I'm basically a hacker. But you look at the quality control of these woods compared to the irons, you clearly saw. Now, are they awful in terms of should no one ever buy them? No. At the end of the day, the wood was £12, the rescue was £12, this was £17, and again, it's just a great idea to get someone testing. Now what I'd like to do is a chart in terms of performance against how much it costs. So obviously these are both £10, £20 clubs. How far do they go? How consistent do I hit a fairway? And then slowly go up the scale of how much money you spend on a club to then get more distance and better dispersion. Because I'm sure as soon as you start getting to the £100 mark, £200 mark, it's going to plateau. And even the £450 drivers, there's just too much human error nowadays, or there always has been, to actually give any clear results. So the driver, very similar to the rescue. I found it very difficult to control, obviously quite heavy, but heavy is not a bad thing for me. But obviously the person that would be using this, it wouldn't be designed for. Now in terms of control of that face, that's probably down to my swing more than anything. I left a lot of bad shots in, mainly to show you guys not everyone is perfect, but the good shots, like most drivers and most woods, when you hit them out in the middle, it went well. And actually I was really impressed how the driver sounded. I thought it was going to sound like a tin can, it looked like a tin can, but I was really surprised that it sounded actually really good. And down the range I was hoping or thinking that I was going to be shocking a few people down there with how loud this thing was, but it wasn't, and it sounded just as good, I would say, as a lot of higher brand drivers out there on the market at the moment. Again, the face did scratch up with the driver, so that quality side of it, I don't know how many rounds you would get out of this. And obviously I was swinging this thing quite hard and quite fast, and it still stayed up to the test. So I mean, it didn't break, the shaft didn't come away, the ferrule was very much on, and the grips are what you would expect from a very cheap club. But overall, what would I suggest these for? I think I love the idea that you can go into a store and buy individual clubs. You don't have to go and buy a whole bag. You don't have to drop 250 quid or 300 or whatever. Like in the summer, someone that just sees golf on the TV or sees YouTube video, whatever it is, I love the idea that you can go out and just buy a couple of clubs. I think that iron's a great value for money. I'm looking forward to testing those on the GC2. Woods, I'd rather you go and buy a second-hand club and then just use that, really. Anyway guys, thank you ever so much for watching. Catch you guys later.